I always like to give an example of MySpace because I just think it's an amusing story. So MySpace was poised, I would say, to be Facebook, right? It was huge. It was viral. It was lots of things. Kind of foreshadowed a bit of maybe even TikTok because it was like a lot of entertainment content, casual. Um, and then Rupert Murdoch bought it and it collapsed within a few years. And part of that, I think, was because they were really, really heavy on ads and less heavy on the customer experience. So I remember to accept a friend request was like 3 clicks where you saw 3 ads.
Mm-hmm.
And on Facebook, you accept the friend request, you didn't even leave the page. It just like that just accepted. But what is interesting, so I used to give this example of like, yeah, well, Rupert Murdoch really screwed that one up. And in a sense, maybe he did, but somebody said, you know what, actually, he bought it for, and I don't remember the numbers, he bought it for 800 million and it was very profitable through its decline. And he actually made his money back and more. So it wasn't like from a financial point of view, it was a bad investment in the sense of you could have been Facebook, but on sort of more mundane metrics, it's like, actually it worked out okay for
It
him.
all matters how you define success.
It does. And that is also advice to young people. One of the things I would say, like when we have our mental models of success as an entrepreneur, for example, and your examples in your mind are Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg. So people who at a very young age had one really great idea that just went straight to the moon and became one of the richest people in the world. That is really unusual, like really, really rare. And for most entrepreneurs, that is not the life path you're going to take. You're going to fail. You're going to reboot. You're going to learn from what you failed at. You're going to try something different. And that is really important because if your standard of success is, well, I feel sad because I'm not as rich as Elon Musk. It's like, well, so should almost everyone, possibly everyone except Elon Musk is not as rich as Elon Musk. And so that, like realistically, you can set a standard of success, even in a really narrow sense, which I don't recommend, of thinking about your financial success. It's like, if you measure your financial success by thinking about billionaires, like that's heavy. Like that's probably not good. I don't recommend it. Whereas like I personally, like for me, when journalists say, oh, how does it feel to not be a billionaire? I usually say, I don't know, how does it feel to you? Because they're not. But also I'm like, I live in London. The number of bankers that no one's ever heard of who live in London, who make far more money than I ever will, is quite a large number. And I wouldn't trade my life for theirs at all, right? Because mine is so interesting. Like, oh, right, Jimmy, we need you to go and meet the Chinese propaganda minister. Yeah. Oh, okay, that's super interesting. Yeah. Like, yeah, Jimmy, like, here's the situation. Like, you can go to this country, and while you're there, the president has asked to see you. It's like, God, that's super interesting. Jimmy, you're going to this place, and there's a local Wikipedian who said, do you want to stay with me and my family? And I'm like, yeah, like that's really cool. Like I would like to do that. That's really interesting. I don't do that all the time, but I've done it and it's great. So like for me, that's like arranging your life so that you have interesting experiences is just great.